Hi everyone. So now that we've gone over a case study, I want you to take a look at some of the problems in your book. I'm going to go over which ones those are and exactly what I'm looking for out of them. These are ungraded practice problems. You don't have to turn anything into me. The idea here is that these are the types of questions that I might ask you on an exam, and you should be prepared to answer these types of questions. So consider all of the questions presented here in this slide deck and out of the book. All the questions I'm going to present do come from the 7th edition, so your questions might vary slightly depending on what edition you're using. Make sure that when you're doing these, when you're answering these questions, that you examine, that you write out your answers and then you examine your answers for correctness, validity of your argument, and your writing quality. Now, by correctness, what I mean here is, are you answering the question correctly? Are you providing a full answer? Are you providing an answer that answers the question being asked? And if it's a question that has a factual answer, make sure that you're providing the actual correct answer. If it's a question that's more opinion-based or justification of an argument, then you need to make sure that your argument holds up to scrutiny. So this is the validity of your argument portion. You want to make sure that any argument you present is watertight, right? So you want to make sure that I can't find fault with the logic that you show. I'm not looking for long pages and pages of context here. Just make sure that you're getting enough down onto the paper that if this was an exam, I would understand what you're trying to say and the points that you're trying to get to. Your writing quality is also important. If you're not clear with your writing, if your writing is difficult to follow or has logical inconsistencies, it's going to be an issue when you get to the exam, and it's going to be an issue when you're writing up your ethics prompts. So it's a good time to practice your writing quality as well as checking for these other things when you're answering these questions. So the questions that I want you to consider are these questions from the book. So there are 3 main sections or subsections of the questions in your book. The first is review. I'm looking for questions 4, 5, 6, 12, and 15. Discussion 32, 33, 36, and 39. And from the in-class exercises, question number 46. Now, for the review questions, these are mostly something you can probably do on your own, but for the other sections, discussion and in-class exercises, I recommend that you visit the discussion zone on our course Teams and put some of your thoughts down there and have conversations with other people in the class. It will help you to form your arguments a little bit better and also see things from alternative perspectives. You can also do this within your groups that you were assigned for your tutorial project if you don't feel comfortable with the larger group of the course. I also want to point out, while I'm mentioning the discussion zone on the Teams page, that in that particular channel, you will find that I created a OneNote that you guys can use to share notes with the entire course. I encourage you to do this and to contribute, as it's another way that you can participate with each other in helping to understand the course material. So for questions 4 through 15 that I mentioned, the review questions here, I want to go over what exactly I'm looking for out of these questions, what portion of the question is actually what I'm trying to get out from you. So question 4, why is the phrase, "that's your opinion," not a strong ethical argument? So you'll find that a lot of people, when you go and have an ethical discussion with somebody, they're going to bring up that it's your opinion, that this should be that way, and you need to be able to either refute that statement as why it's not useful to the conversation, or you at a minimum need to make sure that you aren't that person. So why is "that's your opinion" not going to be a good ethical argument in this course in particular, but also in larger ethical discussions that you may have in real life? So question number 5, what do you mean when we say an ethical theory is rational? What is a rational ethical theory? This is something you should be able to answer. Question 6, what is the many/any fallacy? Make sure you understand what that fallacy is. And question number 12, give 3 examples of a situation in which your action would be primarily motivated by a sense of obligation, and then give 3 examples of being motivated by consequences. Now, what's the difference between an obligation and a consequence? That's going to be something important for you to figure out and be able to answer. Question 15, list real-life laws or policies that violate the thing known as the difference principle. Now, from the discussion questions, these are the questions from 32 through 39 that I mentioned. Not all of the questions from 32 through 39, only the ones I mentioned at the beginning. Question 32, if you had to choose only one of the ethical theories that we covered to use for all of your decision making in your life, which would you use and why? Alternatively, which one do you think you actually use and why do you use it? Question number 36, which of the 5 workable theories are closest to the golden rule? Question 39, can moral decisions be made on a completely codified algorithmic basis, or are there fundamental weaknesses to this approach to moral decision making? In addition to that, what are the consequences of your position on computer science and software engineering as a whole? How does it change how we develop software? And in particular, what does that mean for developing AI? Can it be moral or ethical? Or do we have to make sure that there are checks put in place to make sure that AI is moral and ethical in another way? Question 42. Examine the morality of Mary's decision in the situation outlined in the book. I'm sorry, under what ethical theories is her decision moral, and under which is it immoral? In class exercises, so this is just question 45. And this is one that I really want you to discuss, at least in your small groups. Is the right to life a negative right or a positive right? And what is the difference between a negative and a positive right? And again, I think it's really important that all of you discuss these questions with other people in the course. So if you want to do that in your small groups or you want to contribute to the larger discussion in that discussion zone channel on our teams, please make sure that you do that. Everyone's thoughts are valid here. This is about trying out these different ethical theories and putting them to work and using them to answer questions. If you have any questions about these questions, about this practice work, please let me know. You can always message me on Teams or put a question into the question channel on the Teams page.